Thank you so much, Lonni, for making time for me. Now that you're an internet sensation and you have gone viral a number of times, I don't take it for granted that you will talk to me.
Oh,
So thank
anytime.
you. So the reason I wanted to talk to Lonni is because we interviewed her for our publication Viva50.com, which is a website for women over 50, but other people read us too. And that was in 2020. I went back to look at it before
Mhm.
I talked to you. It was 2020. I feel it was October. And back then, Lonni, who was gracing us with her beautiful presence online, on her Instagram, she had 4,000 followers, give or take.
Mhm.
And then one day, while I'm managing the website, I see a huge influx of readers to that blog post about you. And it wasn't a day that we had shared it on Facebook or, because when we share it on social media, we get these extra views so it wasn't that day. And it was a ginormous amount of traffic. So I'm like, what's going on? So then I Google Lonni and I find that she has gone viral and
Mhm.
because she was kind to a person who was practically insulting her on TikTok. And that got picked up by the Daily Mail, by this, by that. So you had the world at your feet. And I was super impressed. And then after that, Lonni has, correct me if I'm wrong, quit her job, created a little or big empire. And on TikTok, she's hit 1 million or
Mhm.
more followers, going viral again lately. And I was Googling you and I'm seeing, wow, she's on like just 2 days ago on major publications. So tell us a little bit, like what I'm interested in is how did all that feel, the before and after that? What
Yeah,
happened?
it's amazing. You know what? It's completely humbling. It just is. I I am so blessed and I am so honored to be a voice for women over 50. And again, it's amazing, and it's a blessing that I didn't know I had in me, and I've just let it out, and it's been, like I said, it almost makes me speechless. I'm very humbled by it.
And how has it changed your life? Because it's not only that you have this humongous following, it is, and that you are touching people's lives, is that enabled you to actually quit your job? Was that something that you thought of when you launched your Instagram or not?
Yeah.
Like, did you launch it for that reason? Or because like when I built Viva 50, when I turned 50, I'm 59 now, so that's almost 9 years ago. I knew what like, not what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to make a living off of it, and I did. But you were on Instagram for another reason. Am I
Well, you
correct?
know what? I mean, yes and no, because when I started my Instagram, it all started with Instagram, and it all
Mm-hmm.
started with the worst picture I ever could have taken.
Ah,
And half my head was cut off, but it was my start, and I will always be thankful for that first post. But I started my Instagram on the basis of wanting to share my outfit style with women over 50. That was my intention. And because I'm 58 now, so I was 56 when I started my Instagram, and no, 50, like 55. But I started that with anticipation of building a social media platform to be able to supplement my income when I retired in my 60s. So I had a 10-year plan. And it was just something that I was like, oh, yeah, if I can build and build and build, it will give me something to do in retirement and supplement my income. Life had a different trajectory for me, and they're like, no, we're not getting, it's not 10 years, it's 2 years. And so I've just kind of watched it grow and develop, and I've just followed its course. So it's it's an absolute, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do.
so what are you doing now exactly? Because I know you have a podcast. You're also, I mean, your YouTube channel is impressive how you're growing it. You have TikTok, you have Instagram. what else is going on, and how do you manage the whole thing?
Well, I manage it as best as I can. I mean, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in the gym by 4:30. I'm home by, whatever time, and I start working, and I work until I go to bed. And because I want every channel to have that touch, I have my YouTube, I have my Instagram, I have my TikTok. Um, I have affiliate programs that I work with. And so it's just a matter of balancing and making sure that, because I want on each platform, there's an individual who has logged on and has their platform. Like, for example, Instagram has its Instagram followers, and there's women over 50, and there's younger women, and there's just
Hmm.
people on that platform that look to me to inspire them to be bolder and braver. So I want to give them that attention. But then again, there's still people on TikTok who are there and they want to be inspired, and this. And so I want to make sure that I touch each platform to make sure that those people are seen and heard and feel like they have a space in this world.
That's amazing. I think you're doing a really great job. I saw that you mentioned somewhere, possibly in an interview with a big outlet, that younger people are following you more than women our age. I'm 59. You just
Mhm.
mentioned you're 58 now. Is that
58.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, but it's not our age group that is mostly following you. They're younger people. Why do you think
Mhm.
that is? I know the
Well,
answer, but
yeah. Well, the numbers are 92% of my platform are women between the ages of 18 and 35.
imagine.
And what it is, and it's taken me a while to figure out like why, but in speaking to them and the feedback that they give me, it's because it's like they look into the future. You know,
Hmm.
where society is, where as when you're 18 or 20 or 35, society is telling you you better enjoy it while you have it, because once you turn
Oh God,
50, all of that's going out the window, right?
I
We're
hate that.
told that. Yes, we're told that on a continuous basis, from advertising, from, so on our social media outlets, we're bombarded with that message. And all of a sudden I come along and I'm like, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry, you have the message backwards. And so all of a sudden, these women are like, I don't have to dread being in my 50s. I can celebrate it like what she's doing. And that's where I think the draw is coming in.
So, but why aren't women in their 50s following you to celebrate being in their 50s?
I have I have a portion of women in their 50s, but I also make a lot of women in their 50s uncomfortable,
Hmm.
because I am going against that norm. All of a sudden I'm making them think of like, maybe I could do that, and that makes them uncomfortable. I'm kind of shaking up the the narrative.
Well, I have to say that I can relate with you on that because even though it's not for the same reasons, but I also have a younger following in general. And I feel somehow it's like younger people are inspired and
Mhm.
older people are almost offended, like how can you say that? And in your case it's because your body is filled with tattoos. I have only, I think, 6 tattoos. Mine are pretty covered, but it's more that I'm telling them, well, you can still, be flexible, you can still exercise, you can still wear your hair
Mhm.
long, or you can do what the hell you want a little. So I think our messages are similar, but we're just different people delivering them in a different way. I
Yeah.
was super attracted to you because, I always tell my husband that imagine if I were younger, maybe I'd have a sleeve. But why can't I do it now, right? And I do have
Mhm.
tattoos, but again, usually people don't realize it because they're almost all in places, just except for this one, I think that is more visible, but in places that if I, cover them, they're not going to see them. Um, but I always wonder about people who are so judgmental of others who are doing things that are different. Like why? I've seen comments that people give you and even me, but I don't have such a big following on
Mhm.
TikTok or Instagram, so I don't bring in so many trolls. But it is true that, when they say, well, why don't you dress your age or whatever, what does that even mean? And why do you think they're triggered or offended by somebody not dressing or showing your tattoos the way that you do, or cutting your hair, or buzz cutting your hair, or
It's just society. I mean, it's like if you keep your head down and you're quiet
yeah.
and you don't make any ripples in the water, it's it's in their comfort zone. And then all of a sudden, if you're like, no, you know what, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to believe, I'm going to stand up for this, or I'm going to live my life absolutely out loud with no hesitation, it just makes them super uncomfortable, you know. It's just it to me, I think living in that box would be just
Awful.
prison,
I think so too.
awful.
Yeah.
But they also are the same people that are like, I could not ever leave my box. So to
Right.
them, I'm the complete opposite. So, and you know what? And truthfully, they don't bother me. I feel bad for them. I feel bad
Right.
for
Yeah.
people that are so sheltered and so just like miserable that they can't applaud somebody who's living their best life. I mean, the only reason people ever say anything mean is because they're unhappy, you
Yeah.
know. So every time somebody says something, it is a direct representation of who they are, not who I am. So it's like whatever, it's just a waste. You just wasted your time. You wasted your time and energy trying to bring me down.
Right. I always wonder about people like that because it's like, honestly, even if I disagree with somebody else's opinion online, sometimes I won't even say anything because why? It's like,
Exactly.
for what is the reason to get into some kind of argument or say, well, you think differently? Well, fine, just move on and take the parts of the person that you enjoy, whatever. But I think that is absolutely interesting. What other plans do you have right now? Like tattoos. I was thinking because you said you had 12 tattoos last year, right? I
Yeah,
read
I had a lot
somewhere.
of
Is that
tattoos
correct?
last.
Okay. So 12 tattoos last year means, are you getting any this next year? Do you have plans for that?
I don't
Or
have
no?
any, no, I don't have any immediate plans. This is the first time in a very long time that I have no immediate plans. My long-term artist moved to Chicago,
Oh,
so
wow.
he's gone. And then my other artist is up in LA, but he is so incredibly busy. His books are closed until 2024.
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah, but I mean, I got so many tattoos that I mean, my tattoos are like my life story, and right now I feel like I'm living it. I have nothing really. I've already made all the timestamps on me that I need to at this moment. So yeah, so when something happens and I want to mark that in time, then I'll get another tattoo. But as for right now, no, I have no plans.
That's so interesting because I was following all that and I thought I really enjoyed watching you show how to get ready for it and
Mhm.
what you eat and how, different parts of your body, how it felt. And because again, I might not have a bunch of them myself, but it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in that or the art or the way that you pursue it. My
Right.
eldest got a tattoo at 18, and I thought I paid for it. And she got a little tiny thing that I have in my ankle, and I thought, well, if I pay for it, she won't get any tattoos, and that will kind of calm her down. Well, lo and behold, we get that, and then she went to a concert. There was like a stampede, and she was very scared. The next thing I know, she's already 18, has her own money because she used to babysit and make her own money. And the next thing I know, she's back at the tattoo place and has this big, huge thing. And I was like, oh my God, what the? And then the next time she goes to do the Inca Trail and comes back with a Puma, then she gets a fan for my grandma, and so on and so forth. And then, at one point I did tell her, she and I have a different taste in art. So that's I think in tattoos that's always going to happen. Like my taste
Mhm.
in tattoos or the way I would do a sleeve is completely different as how my kid is going to do a sleeve. And I feel that I had to make peace with that, and I had to think, it's her body. It's her
Mhm.
body, and as a mom, it's a little hard because when um your little baby, who's so perfect and whatever, starts,
Mhm.
decorating their body. Um, I initially, again, even though I had tattoos already, I told her, wait, why don't you wait and this and that. And then eventually I'm just, just tell me when you do them. Don't surprise me, that's it.
Yeah.
And now she shows me. And so I find it interesting that so many people, the only thing that she did say is that she for now won't get tattoos on her hands until she's
Mhm.
older. Um, what do you think about that, for example? Like, is it really a job stopper? Because you were
Oh,
talking about, I
absolutely.
think yours ended it there. So there are some things. Yeah, no, but I know you have them now.
Mhm.
But when you were working and had a job, were you concerned with those a little bit? Like, did you cover them or nothing?
Well, the, I always tell people to not tattoo their hands, their neck,
Mm-hmm.
or their face,
Face.
because you have to look at the long term of where you are in life. You know, the rules for me, I think, are a little bit different than the rules for an 18 or 19-year old,
Of
because
course.
I'm already I already have my life plan a little bit more seasoned and established. When you're 18 or 19 and you get a hand tattoo, you have limited, unfortunately, some opportunities for jobs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way it is. That's the way our society is operating at this point.
Mm-hmm.
As far as when I got my hand tattoos, I was already, well, I only had one when I was working, but I was already established. I was an independent contractor. So I was like, if you want to hire, I'm bringing you business. And so since I was bringing them business, they didn't care.
Right, right, right. Right, right, right. No, I think things have changed a lot in that sense, though,
Mhm.
because I've been even, you go to a hospital and the nurse comes in and they're covered in tattoos and nobody bats an eye. So I think,
Right. Well, you have to figure, a lot of times, like the professions that are high stress, like, like
mm,
nurses, like doctors, firemen, policemen, they have a lot of tattoos because it is their coping mechanism.
oh
It's
goodness,
it's almost like their badge of honor. Like, I have made it through this traumatic time, so I'm going to get this tattoo. And tattoos have such a deep meaning for so many different people, that's why I've always been such an advocate for people to have their own self-expression, because you never know what the meaning is behind anybody's tattoo. They could be honoring a loved one, or could have gone through a really traumatic experience, and this is their healing tool. So I think people who judge other people harshly, you're not only judging what they decorated their skin with, but you're judging their journey. And I don't think
hmm,
we should ever judge anybody's journey. So that's why I'm such an advocate for tattoos and allowing people to express themselves that way.
I think that's so that I did not know that about firefighters or people in the healthcare professions, and that's very interesting. When I got
Mhm.
my first tattoo, I was 31, and it was a very very tiny thing that I could cover with my underwear, and I had to go to this very sleazy place in Madrid, Spain, where I
Yeah.
was living at the moment, and it was ridiculous. I had to go one day, and it was like tiny, like this, and come back the next day because the guy had to make a little whatever, what do you call the stencil, and then I had to come back, and it was all this big production for this little tiny thing, and it was like, oh my goodness, my family was like, are you sure that, and it was coverable, but it was like this big 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 deal.
Mhm.
And now you can just walk in anywhere, and I tell my kids now that you had to seek a place out, and you weren't really sure what the hygienic conditions were and all
Yeah,
that.
it is
It's like,
definitely not like what it is now. That's for sure.
and there wasn't art either. It was more like, pick this or pick that. And now, like I had some during COVID that because I thought I was gonna erase a tattoo I had on my neck that bled, and I didn't like it. And then COVID happened, and so I just couldn't go and get it erased. So eventually, what I did is I got it covered, and I actually designed it, and then the artist drew it better, of course, and all this, and so I feel that there is a like now it's art, like really
Mhm.
it is really art. So I admire people who are like, they're, some tattoo artists won't tattoo everything, like you just, if you just go and say, this is my drawing that I got off the internet, can you tattoo that, some will not do that.
Right.
So they want to do their own creations. um what is what would I say? What is the best compliment anyone has paid you online? Because I know you get a lot of good stuff too. I see them when you encourage people and they're like, "Thank you for validating what I did." Because my parents are saying, "Don't do this," or blah blah blah, or they feel bad about.
You
What is the
know,
nicest?
I get a lot of when I started again with my social media and I was, trying to encourage women over 50 to wear what they want. I also wanted to look at the younger generation and kind of, I've lived a different path than a whole lot of parents. And a lot of them, a lot of the younger people who are getting tattoos don't have anybody to turn to for parental advice on getting tattoos. So
Mm-hmm.
I've always taken kind of the role of like, hey, you know what?
Mm.
Here's my advice. This is the same advice that I would give my sons, so I'm going to give it to you also. So, and anytime anybody either, just reaches out and they're like, thank you so much, they feel validated. They don't feel put down because a lot of times, like, kids will be like, I told my parents I'm going to get a tattoo. They said they're going to disown me.
Oh
My
goodness. Yeah,
father
no.
said, I know. And people they've told me there's the horrible things that their loved ones say because they have a tattoo. And so, I mean, they tell me these things and I'm the one who's like, no, they're not right. You're beautiful. And to me, that's such a compliment that I'm able to help somebody feel better about their choices. You know, to me, again, it's very humbling.
So really, it's not about that tattoos. It's because we're looking at the superficiality of it or what we see, or it's not about buzz cutting your hair or any of that. It is about something else, which is, as you said, being yourself no matter what and owning your story because you have also shared your story of overcoming alcoholism and being a recovering
Mhm.
alcoholic and making normalizing that. Whereas I think that if we dig a little deep, there is alcoholism in a lot of families. I have a recovering alcoholic sister. I think it's 30 years sober. It
Mhm.
was hard on the whole family. And so I have experience, firsthand experience with alcoholism and addiction. And you are normalizing that as well.
Oh,
What would you
absolutely.
tell people? Right, because I think again, I feel that if you own your story, nobody can take it away from you.
Yes. And
And
when
you're
I
doing that.
Yes, because it's amazing to me how when you talk about, an addiction and people are
Hmm.
in recovery, they're almost made to feel like they're dirty.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you want to share that story? That's hide that little secret where I'm like, hell no. You know what? Your sobriety is your badge of honor. Your
Yeah.
sobriety is to be stand up on the roof and scream it for the world to hear because you've overcome more than a whole lot of people could ever imagine. And instead of feeling shame, because we feel shame when we're in addiction.
Hmm.
Our addiction tells us to feel ashamed, so we'll stay there. So why in the hell would we still feel shame when we're sober? So that I get all riled up when people are like, say anything like negative about recovery or anything like that. So to me, it's normalizing it. Let's celebrate the recovering addicts instead of trying to make them feel bad about their journey.
Well, the thing is that what I find as a person who had an eating disorder, which was like an addiction, and
Mhm.
it ruled my life for many, many years. And I thought it would have been easier to be an alcoholic because it was more embarrassing for me to say I was addicted to food than to say because I was bulimic. And so it's not as glamorous. I'm not saying it's glamorous, but kind of
Right.
like it's zero glamorous to be eating and purging and stuff like that. Then, it wasn't easy, but I wrote a book about it, and everybody found out. And after that, I thought nobody can hurt me because they know my
Mhm.
darkest moments. I wrote about it, and about my struggle with mental health and depression and anxiety and all this. And I feel that when the people who judge it, like even people who have in my life previously, not in my life anymore, who would judge that I went to a therapist or that I took medication for mental health, then maybe they were addicted to cocaine or they were
Mhm.
alcoholics but they didn't want to see that in themselves. So I think that a lot of people who are judgmental about that kind of thing, we don't know what they're hiding inside of their own. Maybe they're addicted to something else. They're gamblers, or they're addicted to the internet, or there's so many ways to be
There's
addicted. But
so
it's
many. But you see, the thing is that society sits there and they have almost like a rating system for addictions. All
oh
right.
gosh,
So they're like, okay, this is a bad addiction. This one's bad. This one's not so bad. Well, this one's this one. So, society tells us whether or not our addiction is to be ashamed of, or, this or that. But the bottom line is that regardless if you're addicted to alcohol or addicted to gambling or shopping or eating, it's
yeah,
an addiction and it
it is.
hurts you in all different ways. And I always say pain is pain. I don't care and how you wrap it up. However you're hurting yourself, is the bottom line is you're hurting yourself. So we need to
Hmm.
get rid of that stigma of like, this is a bad addiction and this one isn't so bad. You know what? Bottom line is that we have self-harm and that needs to be addressed.
Exactly. So, what would you say to a young person struggling with addiction right now? We have addiction in our family at this moment. What would you tell the young person in our family?
I would say everybody has the right to be happy, including them. And addiction robs you of that happiness.
Hmm.
So just imagine yourself standing in an elevator with four other people. They're happy, they're happy, they're happy, they're happy. You deserve that happiness just as much as that person, that person, that person, and that person. And you need to tell yourself that every single day. It's not a gift that they get, it's something that they get themselves also.
So, but when the person thinks that the addiction to drugs, for example, is what's bringing them happiness, because that is in your mind at that moment, you need that. You think you need that to cope, or to be happy, or to fill a void, or to.
It's a false narrative. That's the narrative that addiction is saying. You know, I always look at it this way. I gave my addiction a physical form because
Mhm.
to me it's easier to fight something that I can see. So their addiction is like a really shitty friend who's telling
Yeah.
them the wrong thing to get them to keep doing it. So the narrative that this addiction is telling them, it's right now they don't see the truth. So, and it's really hard because I used to think like, my anger, my drinking, that's what gave me, I was a badass because I was a mean drunk.
Hmm.
Nobody would have
Yeah.
liked to be drunk. I mean,
Yeah.
I fought. I mean, I was not nice, but I thought that was my strength. And
Yeah.
when I got sober, I didn't realize that my anger that I thought was protecting me was actually hurting me the most. So it's just a matter of it's hard to tell somebody who's in an addiction that their addiction is wrong. They'll
Right.
have to eventually see it themselves. And it's really
Yeah.
hard as a parent to sit back and
Yeah.
be like,
And watch. But I do know that you have, I mean, from experience with other family members, that you have to hit a bottom, and everybody has a different bottom, and everybody's bottom is. And even myself, when I had an eating disorder, I had to hit my own bottom to eventually get out of it. And it's not that I didn't know I had a problem. I was very aware of it. I
yeah.
feel that I was blessed and cursed with extreme self-awareness, which is good and bad, because when you're aware of what's going on, but you can't really change it, that is extremely hard because you have to live with
And
yourself like that.
yeah. And there's not an addict out there who doesn't know they're an addict. I mean, we all know. I knew exactly what problems I had. I just continuously told myself that I didn't deserve to not have them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't worthy of happiness. I didn't deserve happiness. Happiness was for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think addicts are aware. It's just a matter of just like I said, fighting that constant narrative.
And now about aging. I have talking about younger people looking at you, to think, oh, I'm not afraid of aging anymore. I've read a lot of comments that people leave you. I made a video years ago for YouTube that was fear of aging, how to cope with it. And I thought I was talking to people my age.
Yeah.
And then, so I got people in their 20s and teens commenting. So then I made a different video in English and Spanish, just because I speak the two languages. And it's fear of aging when you're young. And I
Hmm.
still get very young people, and I don't make fun of them or anything, because you know how sometimes older people are like, "Oh, ha, ha, well, wait till you get to my age," you know, which I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that, honestly. I don't hate a lot of things, but I don't like it when older people say to younger people, well, enjoy it now, because you'll see when you get to my age. It is my pet peeve. And I still hear it at
Hmm.
59. Like, when does this stop? You know, I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for this horrible thing, whatever it is, of age to what that's so terrible. And so what I tell younger people, which I take terribly seriously, their fear of aging, because I think it is a reflection of um, a lot of things that are fractured in the society, of what society is, you know, teaching kids about aging,
Yeah.
and a lot of them have sometimes semi-valid reasons, because they're like, oh, I'm a singer and I'm in my teens, and I think that when I'm 20 I'll be too old for what I'm doing, you know. But instead of laughing and say, ha ha, well, wait till you get to my
Yeah.
age, I'm like, no, this is, you know, I understand how you're feeling. When I was 25, that was my only age crisis at 25, because my life was a mess. And I felt, boy, this is a quarter of a century. And I had this big anguish. And then after that, all the decades were very, I was very happy to turn every other age that I've turned. And I'm excited to turn 60 because I'm even alive to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, but also, I was not this person. You were talking about anger. I've smashed a few plates and
Yeah.
in my back in my day, you know. And I'm not kidding. I mean it literally. So I've gone through my you know, looking back and thinking, oh my gosh, that behavior was so uncalled for, and you know, how bratty, and what the hell was I doing? Because I didn't have the goodness. Now I can rein in my
Hmm.
I don't lash out like that. You know, I can self regulate, and
Hmm.
all these things that just make me feel, where was this when I was 20? But okay, fine. I don't dismiss all that because it made me who I am today.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, all those struggles that I overcame, and the desire to learn more about myself, but myself as I stand in the world. You know,
Right.
myself, like, the world is a mess, but I can still be a solid foundation in the mess. So what do you think about that, and younger people and their fear of aging, and how you feel now as opposed to when you were younger? That's a
Well,
lot.
yeah. To me, it's like, I mean, just imagine being 20 and you like who you are.
Oh, I
You
don't
know, you're,
have to imagine it. I was there.
yeah. Okay. So you're 20 and you like who
I'm
you are. You're
kidding.
like, you know what? I like my style. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then constantly being told, you better like who you are now because you don't get to be that person when you're older. You
Right.
know, that is their fear. And I absolutely understand their fear of growing older, because who wants to have their identity robbed from them? Who wants to have that taken away from them?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to me, it's like just changing that narrative of, you don't have to be a different person. I mean, I still fundamentally am the same person as when I
Mm-hmm.
was 20.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a whole lot more confidence, and I have a whole lot
Oh
more,
gosh. Yeah.
this, and I have a whole lot more. And that's what pissed me off. It's like, we we work all these years and all these decades to get this confidence, just to turn around and be like, oh, sorry, you know, you missed that train. And I'm like, no, no, I didn't work for 58 years to get to where I am, to be told to sit down, be quiet, and wear beige. I'm not going to do it. And that's just, and it's like, and I know what I feel, a whole lot of other people feel. And so it's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I did well, I feel the same, and again we have a little bit of different styles and all that, but I also don't want to like I've never felt invisible, and I don't mean physically. I mean just in life. Maybe I felt more invisible when I was younger. But as I got older, I've always worked for myself.
Mhm.
I've had my ups and downs. I've been bankrupt. I've been, on food stamps with my kids, and then reinvented myself online. But oh man, now I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna go ahead and admit that I just
You see,
lost
but the
it.
thing is when you say like you've never felt invisible, I think that's really cool. But I mean, I think there's a whole lot of women out there who feel invisible. You know,
But because
it,
because they're not making the effort not to be. That's what I mean is that there are things that you can do. It's in our hands, that and not only physically. It's like there if more people, if more women said, okay, why am I invisible? Why am I feeling invisible? Let me change this. Then maybe they wouldn't feel invisible.
yeah, but change is scary. And a lot of people, and change doesn't have to be drastic. I mean, you don't have to shave your head in order
Right,
to
right.
have all this change, but you can start incorporating fashion that you like. You can start incorporating a hairstyle that you've always wanted. You can change your makeup. You can, get a small tattoo. There's
Hmm,
whatever
hmm.
amount of change somebody needs is I just want them to know what that change is and incorporate that. So, what is acceptable for me might not be somebody else's idea of change, but whatever that idea is, that's what I encourage.
I
I'm
agree.
always saying you have to let the inside you out. Whatever version of you is stuck behind fear and age and society's ideology of what you should be, you need to set that aside and let the inside version of you out. And whatever
I agree.
form or fashion or version that is, that needs to be on the outside.
I agree. Well, it's funny because for me, it was letting my hair grow. Because when I was
Mm-hmm.
a little kid, my grandmother was always cutting it and saying that I looked really cute with it. I hated it. And as I grew older, I was like, you know what? I'm going to let it grow. And I
Yeah.
did. And I still sometimes have to hear from people, even that I know, like, why are you wearing your hair so long? And that's ridiculous and whatever. But I just don't listen. I hear it, but I don't internalize it. So, you know,
And that your
to each
hair
their
is
own.
is your statement. I mean,
It
what
is,
works
yeah.
for you might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you.
Of course. No.
But it's your individuality, and
Yeah,
it's finding who you are and being like, I don't know what form or version you have, but this is me, and I'm okay with me. I'm
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Every time I look in the mirror, I like what I see looking back, and like I keep on, that's the beautiful thing about us is we're all individual and we lose that. We become like this mass, like everybody needs to look the same, everybody needs to
I
act the
agree.
same. And you know
I
what
agree.
society says, when you're younger you have a tendency to go, to do that a little bit more. But I made it 58 years and I'm not going to do that anymore. So
Yeah. Well,
you know
I did this TikTok that I think might have pissed off a few people, but it was like there was this hashtag coastal grandma style or something. And I
mhm,
said, but I can't use it because that's not how I dress.
exactly.
I don't live like that either. It's not, and I'm not slamming people who do. It's just, it's not me. It's not every person over almost 60 is dresses like that, or, exactly what you said. And I'm
Yeah.
more about pushing anyone of any age. Like when somebody says, "Oh man, I don't know if I should, start a career or, on my own doing social media or get a job," and I'm like, "You're asking the wrong person because I'm always going to tell you to do the social media or the
Mhm.
crazy." Whatever it is, endeavor on your own. But that's only because I have never had a job because I hated jobs. I hated them so much.
Yeah.
Even in the field that I loved, I was such a rebel with that back then it seemed like I was this big failure because I couldn't hold a job. But then looking back now, I can say I worked for myself for 40 years and I'm still
Mhm.
going. And so I think it's also about younger people realizing that life is short, but it's long. And so you have all, and it's still at 59, I don't feel like peaked. I still feel that there's more coming.
Oh yeah.
you know? So that's why I think I'm attracted to you like that, you know?
Yeah.
I yeah.
Yeah. Because
I
like,
love what you do out there.
yeah, well, thank you so much. But it's funny because like when I was doing TikToks, I would find an outfit of like what society would say I would have to wear. Okay.
Yes, I've seen that, yeah.
And I would put that on there. But then I started thinking, I'm like, maybe there's somebody out there who likes that look.
Yeah,
Maybe that
true.
look works for them. And
Yeah,
I became very conscientious of that. And I never want to make anybody feel bad about the way they choose to look.
correct.
So you want that coastal grandma look. If you want, because I get like all sorts of magazines for women over 50, and I don't want to dress like that. But if that
Yeah,
makes you
I
happy, my message is then that's what you should wear, you know? But that,
exactly.
but don't make me try to wear it. Don't tell me that's what I should wear. I'm not telling you to wear it. Don't tell me to wear it. And
I
so,
agree. I'll tell you that I have a hard time going into older women's stores that are designed for older women because even the fit doesn't fit me, you know,
yeah.
because my body is different, or I have to go to young women's supposedly for young women because the fit is going to be more for me, the look is going to be more for me, and I don't care if I'm the only person who's older. But I'm seeing that it's all over the place now that you go anywhere and there are women of all ages buying anything. So I think that's pretty cool too.
It's ridiculous. It's like, do I have to show my driver's license to shop on the other
Right.
side of the store? I mean, come on. Don't don't sit there and be like, you know what? I'm 58 years old. I'll figure out if I like that top or not. You know, you don't
Exactly. It's like, no,
tell
you
me.
can't wear it because you're
Yeah,
over a certain age. That's so silly.
yeah.
Oh,
So I
goodness.
mean, again, it's just the constant bombardment of, and you know what? And truthfully, I wouldn't care if it wasn't brought with such a negative
Agreed.
message, you know. And it's just,
Agreed. Agreed.
and to me, it's like one of the most common insults I try to get is when people call me old. And
Right.
I always say, I'm sorry that you think age is an insult because it's not.
Yeah.
And I know exactly how old I am because I was there when I was born. So you're not telling me anything new. So I'm another big narrative that I've been really working on is that age is not an insult. All right.
Right.
You can't hurt me by telling me I'm old because I know exactly how old I am, you know, and it's embracing that. And it's just being like, yeah, so what? I'm 58. What's your point?
Yeah,
And
but also that person hopefully will get to be 58 one day, and that's the whole thing too, is that if it's kind of like internalized ageism because we're insulting our future selves if we're saying that person is old at that age. So,
to me, that's just, it's a boring insult. It's like,
yeah.
I want to insult this person, but I'm not going to put much effort into it. I'm just going to call her old and get, you know, and be done with it. And I will
Right. No.
literally, I got to a point where I was rating people's insults. I'd be like, that's a solid C minus. I really think you could do better, you
That
know?
is great. Did you do a reel about that? About grading them? Because you should if you
No,
didn't.
that's a double-edged sword because if I put
Uh,
that out there, I don't want people to take the challenge and be like, "Oh, I
that's
got a
true.
good
Oh
insult."
gosh. Oh, you're
So,
right. I did not think of that. See. Oh
mhm.
man, that's sharp on your side to realize that. Good.
Survival.
Yeah, you have to have a thick skin to be online, that's for sure. At any
Yeah.
age, especially even now. Lonnie, I so appreciate honestly you taking time, and again, now that I mean, do you think about your next virality, or is it just commonplace now?
You know, I truthfully, it's like sometimes I just, I'm so focused on the message, I don't really stop to see the whole picture. You know, to me, it's like I have a task at hand and that's what I do. Every once in a while, I'll Google myself and I'll be like, dang,
Yeah, no, it's
you know,
impressive. Trust me, I did it yesterday. You have a lot there. You have a lot of social proof. So
yeah. But
I'm
I
so
just,
happy
you
for
know what,
that.
I'm just keeping, I'm like I said, it's like I'm on a mission and my social platform has never been about me. My social platform has always been about helping somebody else. I look at it this way. When I was young and I was an addict and I didn't like myself, I needed to hear somebody say, you're okay. And to me, every time I get in front of a camera, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to that person who feels like they're not validated, or they don't have a voice, or they just need somebody to say, you know what, it's okay to wear what you want. That's what I do on a daily basis. So, and that's what I keep focused on.
And you do it really well. You do
Well,
it
thank
really
you.
well. Congratulations. I'm so honored not only to know you, to have followed your journey, and I know you're going to go even farther because you're so authentic.
Well, I,
Thank you.
I'm in for the long run.
I can tell. Any parting words at all?
Just, you know, love yourself. I would just, if anybody's listening to this, like I said, just love yourself for who you are and let the inside you out. Let the inside you shine so bright, nobody can touch you.
I'm going to cry. Thank you, Lonni, so
You're very
much.
welcome.
It was a
Absolutely.
pleasure to
Anytime.
have you.